7 different steps that you all can do, all right, to be successful as tax deed investors. Now, this is where you want to actually like get the property, okay? So you have to decide what kind of investor do you want to be. Do you want to actually get the property itself, or are you interested in getting a return on your investment with interest? If that is the case and you're looking for interest, then you should be focused on tax liens. There is a difference. So the lien gets you the interest, the deed gets you the actual physical property, okay? So we're talking about 7 steps that you could be successful as a tax deed investor where you actually get the property, all right? So I know many of you are looking for that type of specific information, so I'm just gonna lay it out plain for you. So tax deeds themselves, the auction happens at the county level. Many of you are searching at like the state level, and that's why you're getting frustrated and you're not finding the information that you're looking for. It happens at the county level. The auction happens at the county level, like literally the county level. The only thing that happens at the state level is the legislature, right? The legislature, meaning that the law for collecting delinquent real estate taxes. So every state, all 50 states in the United States, all have specific laws that speaks to how the process should go to collect or implement a strategy or a process for delinquent property owners that are not paying their real estate taxes, all right? So somebody asked me the other day, they were like, Jackie, you know, do you feel like, you know, some type of way? Do you feel bad? Anything like that regarding this process, like paying somebody else's real estate taxes for them? That's really what we're doing. We're paying somebody else's real estate taxes for them. So I'm like, okay, well, how is that supposed to make me feel bad? It doesn't. But I'm gonna tell you why. More importantly, in order for a property to be sold for delinquent real estate taxes, you know what has to happen? I'm talking about some good amount of time has passed by. I'm not even playing with you guys. Sometimes it could be 2 years, 3 years, 4 years that that property owner was actually delinquent. So it's not something that happened yesterday and somebody's coming, like a real estate investor like myself, to come and just buy their property, okay? They have been delinquent for a minute, a good hot minute, all right? The county has been trying to collect from them for years, and they have ignored that call to action of actually paying their real estate taxes. So the county's trying to collect, and property taxes support so many different services in our county that is imperative that every property owner that owns property in that county pays their property taxes. This is our children's schools. This is our emergency services. This is our water system. This is like our stoplights, our stop signs. This is our paved roads. This is all of the services and amenities that we've grown accustomed to, just all of the conveniences that we just take advantage of, or, you know, really not really even paying attention to. We just kind of just assume that it'll always be there. Yeah, that's what our real estate taxes goes towards. So when a property owner does not pay their real estate taxes, what they're really doing is just putting like all of the residents in that county like at risk, you know, for losing whatever services that are available to them. So at the county level, the county enforces the right to collect, because they have a budget, they got a plan for their real estate taxes, and it goes towards all of that infrastructure that I just explained a moment ago. So it happens at the county level. So for example, in the state of, let's talk about Alabama, why not? So in the state of Alabama, Alabama is a lien state, right? So they have 67 counties in Alabama. So if you are interested in purchasing tax liens from them, you would basically, you know, go to Alabama, the state of Alabama, or maybe even just Google it. Hello, you could do that too. So you just Google state of Alabama county map. I mean, how easy is that? Get the names of each of the counties in that state, and then you would actually go individually to each of those counties in that state and then cross-reference where they are holding and hosting that auction. So in the state of Florida, Florida is a D state. The process is absolutely the same. Florida happens to have 67 counties as well, so the same process. Every one of the counties in the state of Florida has their own individual auctions, and it just depends on quantity of inventory. So step number 1 is to actually choose a location. Literally. Pick a couple of counties, right? It's not really that like complicated. Identify the state, make sure that state, implements the types of, strategy that you're looking for, whether it's a lien state or a deed state. Identify the state, then identify a couple of counties in that state. And then what you're going to do is, after you've identified the locations, meaning which counties you want to actually inquire and do your research and your due diligence on, the next step would be to just kind of figure out like what kind of systems that county actually offers. Like, is the auction online? Is it not online? Is it in person? If the county does any type of due diligence and they have like a file that you can access and take a look at it. So maybe the county does do their due diligence, however, they don't make it available to the public. Maybe they do make it available to the public. You want to see it if they do. So in Florida, our counties do have some preliminary research that they do, because that's part of like our statutes here, and they do make it accessible to the public. Sometimes they make it accessible online, other times it's actually in person. All right, so far we have 2 steps, right? I said it was going to be 7. So number 1, location. Which county do you want to invest in? Number 2, find out how that county does business. For real. Like, it's really that important. All of the different counties, they're allowed, as long as they're following the law in their state, to implement how they see fit, whether it's online and offline. So you really, really got to know the difference between the two. So now you know their systems. The next thing is to obtain the actual list of properties that are going to go for sale in that county. Obtain the list of properties. So that's step number 3. Once you understand the auction method and how that county does business, the next thing you want to do is like, okay, well, where's the list of properties? What's actually going for auction? What's the frequency? Is it weekly? Is it bi-weekly? Is it every single month or quarterly or annually? Whatever that looks like. You want to get your hands on the list of the properties that are going up for auction. Does that make sense? So that's number 3. Location first, number 1, right? Then number 2, we're going to figure out how that county does business. Number 3, we're going to request the list or access the list. Sometimes it's a public list and it's on their account and it's on their website. Not a big deal. You can see the list. Many of you DM me all the time and talk to me about the list. I'm like, yes, I know where the list is. I promise you I do. So that's cool. So you can actually access the list really, really easy for many, many counties across the United States. They have it available on whatever the taxing authority's website is that for that, I guess, that county, right, that is implementing the actual auction. Most of the times the auction is definitely the list that's coming up, the list of properties coming up for the auction is definitely like just on their site. You can see that. But it doesn't stop there, because you guys are savvy, right? You're savvy investors, and we're trying to be successful, and we're actually trying to be profitable, right? So what is step number 4? Once you actually have the list, the next step is now to do your due diligence, to actually cross-reference some information. Because most of the time, on the list itself, it only gives you like a certain amount of information. Like most of the times it's like the legal address of the property. Maybe it's the property parcel ID number, or sometimes they even call it a folio number. Or maybe they even give you like the certificate number or file number. And you're like, golly, why they just couldn't give me the address? I'm just saying. Why they just couldn't make it easy for me? I mean, for real. Why they just couldn't do all of that? All right, but they don't. They really don't. So they don't necessarily give you the physical address of the property, nor do they tell you like what the property is. All right, so from the data that's on the list, it's usually very basic. So what you'd have to do is cross-reference on the other government sites, the other departments in that same county, such as the property appraiser's website. You're going to cross-reference and see what kind of property usage, right? After you search by the parcel ID, you're going to try to find the address, cross-reference. You can find all of this information by just toggling between a couple of sites, maximum 2 to 3 sites, definitely. So it'll be the property appraiser's website or assessor's website, depending on the state. It's kind of like the same thing, but each state calls it something different. Okay. And then you're also going to have up your auction site, because you want to get the list. You want to make sure that you got the right list for the right date at the right time in the right place. So you're in the right place, right? Got the list. You're going to have the assessor or the appraiser site open. And then maybe you have the tax collector's website open too, or the revenue commission, depending on the state, right? Just whatever it is that they call it. And then another website you're going to have, which is actually step number 5, you're going to research if there's any liens, right? So another website that you're going to have open, and you basically just kind of have like 3 tabs or something. I don't know. You guys work it out. So you have like 3 tabs open. And the third one is going to be the official records. Yeah, right? Makes sense. Why? Because you want to know if there's any liens on this property that you may be at risk for inheriting if you buy this property. So that's the part. That's the part. That part. That's the part that many people miss. You guys miss that. I can't tell you how many people call me to be like, oh my gosh, Jackie, I have an emergency. I bought this property at the auction and now I can't sell it. Or I found out that, I got a really great price, but the property is not worth anything. Why? Because the liens and the debt on this property, the liabilities, I should say rather, on this property exceeds what I paid for it. And it's just like, wow. Did you not do this research before you went to the auction? And they were like, no, I didn't know I was supposed to. Well, now you know, because I'm telling you that you're supposed to do that. All right. So where we went, I lost my track. Let's recap real quick. Pay attention. Number 1, location. Identify the auction. Identify the actual counties that you want to do your investment in. And let me tell you, don't be calling me talking about like COVID and tell me, oh my gosh, Jackie, the counties, they're not having any auction. Boo-hoo. Move on. Find another county. Too easy. My state alone got 67 counties. Counties are out there that are having auctions right now. If the county that you're looking at does not have an auction, okay, move to the next county. Too easy. If the entire state that you're in is not having an auction, move to another state. It's too easy. It's not even that complicated. Our objective is to get properties, isn't it? It's not an emotional decision. Okay. So we're going to do location. It's at the county level. Identify the county. Number 2, we're going to learn that county system. How do they do business? Is it online? Is it offline? Do they give you like research? Do they not give you any research? Anything like that? Fair enough? All right. Number 3, you're going to obtain the list for that property. You're going to obtain the list of the properties that county is offering at that time. All right. So that was number 3. Number 4, you're going to research that properties. You're going to cross-reference a couple of things, find out exactly what that property is for. Don't be buying no properties blind. And you be like, oh, Jackie said, don't do it. It wasn't me. Nope. Nope. You're going to know exactly what it is before you actually bid on it. If it's a residential vacant land, if it's a commercial property, is it a gas station, whatever, is it a hair salon, whatever it is. The other day I saw like a daycare center. I was like, wow, maybe I will like buy a daycare center. I don't know. That's what it was zoned for. It was zoned for like a school. And I was just like, oh, that's cool. All right. But I wasn't in the market for that kind of business. I'm not even about that life. All right. Number 5 was to cross-reference and make sure that the property doesn't have any liens on it. All right. So that's what we're talking about. Now, it could have some liens, and some liens you don't want. Some liens is okay. Other liens, you'd be like, ooh, this is too much of a high risk. So the liens that I'm talking about are like government liens. So what are government liens? Federal liens, state liens, county liens, city liens, town liens, any type of municipality liens. You're going to be looking out for those. Those are the ones that get you caught up. Okay. So you're going to be looking out for those in public records. Okay. All right. So that was number 5. Number 6 is attend the auction. Hot dang. So after you've done all of your research, you know what properties you want, you know the list, you know the system, you know what counties, you know everything. Now it's time for you to prepare to actually attend the auction. Hello. Now it's time for you to actually get registered and for you to actually attend. And you know what? A lot of the auction sites, especially if it's virtual, even the ones that's physical, if they're even having any physical during COVID, maybe they're postponed, you can attend auctions without bidding. So maybe you attend an auction just to kind of see how it works and how it flows and everything. So you kind of get like a little, experience to see what's going on or whatever, but without bidding. Put your little paddle thingy away. Don't do it. Don't click on anything. Don't do it. Just observe. Observe means observe. Don't buy nothing. So you can actually attend an auction just to observe and be an observer, whether it's virtual or in person, and not bid. Just be a fly on the wall so you can actually get comfortable with the system. Fair enough? That you're going to win. Eventually, you attend the auction and you participate the right way by doing all of your research and your due diligence up front. You are going to win at some point, right? So sometimes you win your first auction, sometimes you don't. I have many students that say, you know, Jackie, I'm so concerned about being like outbidded, okay? And I'm like, why? Why are you concerned about being outbidded? We never bid emotionally. We do all of our research in advance. So what that means to us, what that means to you, is that you have your maximum bid. So it's not an emotional decision by any means, y'all, okay? Either you're going to win and you're going to be able to purchase a property at the price that you want to pay, or you're going to save your money and you are going to be able to bid another day. That's exactly how this process works. We don't ever lose. Those types of words is not even in my mouth. It's not even in my students' mouth. It's not even part of our vocabulary. We don't lose. We always win. Either we're going to get the property for the price that we want, or we're going to save our money so that we can bid another day, period. All right. So number seven is the assumption that you got a property and you got it for the price that you wanted, and now you're in possession of this property. Ooh, ooh. Now it's time for you to be profitable, right? So you bought the property at a discount. It has equity in it. Oh my gosh. It added net worth, net worth to your life. You got this asset now that's worth more than what you paid for it. This is absolutely tremendous. It's spectacular. It's absolutely awesome. Okay. So step number 7 is your exit strategy. What are you going to do with the property, right? It's time for you to be profitable. Hopefully you would have already thought about this before. Many of you have, you call me, you text me, like, Jackie, I want to own the property. I want to do this, I want to do that. I want to build generational wealth. I want to do all that. That's all good. It's just not specific. And we need to be specific in our process. You understand? So let's drill down to some specifics of what you can do with your property now that you own it. Okay? Own it. It's yours. No asking permission, no nothing. It's yours. All right. So we have a decision tree in my program. We have a decision tree. Okay. So it's either keep or not keep. That's where the decision point begins. Either you're going to keep it or you're not going to keep the property. Okay. So let's talk about keeping the property. Let's start there. All right. So if you're going to keep the property, there are some very interesting and very creative cash flow strategies that you can implement. Number 1, you can actually rent out the property traditionally. You can become a landlord, and now you have a family that's moved into this property and you're renting it to them and you're collecting rent successfully. That's pretty cool. If that's what you want, you can definitely do that. And even in the rental category, there's still subcategories of renting. Did you know that you can rent by the room? This is so true. They do it all the time. So say, for example, you have a property that's near like a college or a university. You have property owners that rent furnished bedrooms to college students. And now you have like 3 or 4 college students that are paying you monthly per room, which actually gives you the opportunity to collect, a larger margin in profit than if you had rented to just one family alone. How cool is that? So that's like different creative ways that you can rent. Maybe you rent like a short-term rental, kind of like an Airbnb, or maybe corporate rentals. Ooh, nice. Those are all wonderful options for you as well too, if you're considering being a landlord. All right. So another to keep strategy would be actually doing an option agreement to a potential buyer that wants to buy the property, but they're really not like ready. They need to get their finances together, their credit together. So you give them an option agreement, which simply says, hey, on X date, which is maybe 2 years, 3 years, it depends on how generous you want to be. So you give them a certain amount of time to get their situation situated. And you give them an option to buy your property at a specific price that it's already pre-negotiated, that you inform them that you want to sell the price, you want to sell the property for. That's an option. So it has a specific term, it has a specific price, and then the individual has the opportunity to exercise their option to buy or not to buy. Normally it comes with like a fee for them to do that. So they would give you like a non-refundable option fee. And then during that period of time where they have their option term, they would lease the property from you. Typically, word on the street, they call that like rent to own, or a lease option. So you could definitely do that as well too. I like that strategy a lot. I actually implement it a lot in my business. So that's one of my go-to exit strategies. All right, to keep. Another opportunity for you to cash flow your property is for you to sell your own property on owner financing. How cool is that? You become the bank. Let me tell you something, guys. Let me tell you something. Okay, if you're trying to really build this wealth, you need to become the bank. The bank. And the way how you do that is that you own or finance your own properties. Do you know how many individuals are out there that nobody is talking to? They may not qualify for traditional financing, but it doesn't mean that they don't have income or they don't have, funds as a down payment. Why not make it like advantageous and, sexy for them to come and buy the property from you? I'm just saying, you could be their bank. So instead of collecting rent or doing any like an option agreement, you would sell them the property. And what you would do is you just create the opportunity for them to pay you for your purchase price every single month until they're paid in full. That's pretty darn cool. Pretty cool, right? For you to be the bank. I know, right? Okay, good. So now the other decision tree, right? It was like not keep. That's what we talked about. We're not keeping it today. So now you have like two subcategories of not keep. Okay. So not keep number one, not good grammar, but not keep number one would be to sell the property as is, right? So this is no renovation at all. This is just literally maybe you mow the lawn, maybe you pressure wash it. That's just to get like the debris off of it. So it's kind of presentable, but that's about it. You don't do anything else to the property. You just sell it as is. You can definitely sell your own property in any condition as is. Now, of course, you're going to discount it appropriately so that whoever's purchasing it has, enough budget to do whatever they need to do to infuse, more value, but that's their risk. So basically you're passing on that responsibility to somebody else, right? So typically that will be like a cash buyer or someone like that, another investor, and you're selling it as is, all right? You make no warranties, you don't know anything about the property, they got to do their own due diligence, all of that good stuff. So that's selling your own property for sale by owner as is, all right? So what is the other not keep? The other not keep would be to actually do the renovation yourself, right? Well, I don't mean yourself, like me. Can you see me like swinging a hammer? No, it's not going to work out. But what I mean is actually having a plan in place where you're going to make the renovations and infuse the value in that property yourself. And now you get an opportunity to put it back on the market and sell the property for its full retail value. Normally, that kind of exit strategy, that kind of not keep exit strategy is geared to selling your property to a traditional buyer, someone who's going to qualify for a bank mortgage, get pre-qualified, all that cool stuff. Maybe it's FHA or VA or USDA or conventional. I mean, there's all kinds of lending out there, but it's going to be one of those types of folks. So when you are considering to remodel your property and then put it back on the market, more than likely you're trying to attract one of those types of people who actually are coming with their own like traditional bank financing. Typically, you can sell for a higher dollar amount, a higher value, like closer to at market value, or maybe even a little bit more depending on your market if inventory is low. But that's what your options are. So either you're going to keep it or you're not going to keep it. So number 7 is implementing your exit strategy for your profitability. You just got to think it through and then decide which one is right for you. Oh, that rhymed. Think it through, decide which one is right for you. Think it through, decide which one is right for you. Okay. Ooh, I love it. That's me. That's me. I see I was a rapper or something like in another life. Probably not. Anyway, but it's really, really that simple, you guys. It's 7 steps. I'm going to recap. I got my little notes right here. So just in case you was not paying attention for the last 20 minutes, I'm going to tell you what it is again. All right. Number 1, pick a location. Pick a county. Like literally. It's like for real. Stop whining about it. Stop acting crazy. Stop doing all that stuff. Just pick a county. Pick a couple of counties. All right. So maybe a 5-county cluster, right? You get a map and you're like a 5-county cluster or 6 counties cluster, like an entire region. And you do the research on how each of those counties do business. That was number 2, the system that they use to actually have the auction itself. Number 3, obtain the lists. obtain the list for each of those counties, right? Any county that you want to do business with, obtain the list. Number 4, research the properties on the list. Find out what each of those properties are, their property usage. Does it fit your buying criteria? If you're only interested in single family homes, then too easy. You're just going to eliminate everything else on the list that doesn't fit that criteria. If it's not a single family home, then you don't do any further research. Does that make sense? Just stop right there, right? You're only going to identify the ones that you really want to buy. So you're going to research the properties you really, really want. And then number 5 is you're going to cross-reference and verify if the properties that you want to buy, if they actually have any liens on it that could actually cause you some harm, or liens that can transfer to you that you may have to be responsible to pay for or try to negotiate off, or whatever that looks like. So you want to know all of that information up front. Liens are not necessarily like that bad. I know I was like messing around earlier, but what you need to do is just they are a risk. Every real estate investment is a risk, whether you're like a retail buyer or not. Like, all real estate is a risk, no matter what. But what you're trying to do here is minimize the risk, right? So you want to know what is on the title of this property, what are the encumbrances, what kind of, just, you want to know the entire history of that property as well as the owner. And make sure you're clear on that before you bid. Don't get caught up. Ms. Jackson told you. All right. That was number 5. Attend the auction. Number 6. Attend the auction. Number 7. Yay, you won. Now what? You're going to implement your exit strategy. All right. So very, very cool. Now I don't know if it sounds complicated. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I do know that it's not as complicated as you think it is. Whatever, if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's only because, this is something that's new. That's it. Everything else was new. You fell down a couple of times when you was trying to walk, right? That was one stage of your life. So this is another stage as well too. So wanting to know more about how to invest successfully as a tax deed investor, hit me up. Schedule a consultation with me. I would love to talk to you. You can go to my website, thejackyjackson.com. You could DM me or whatever it is. You can get on my calendar. I would love to talk to you. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon. All right. Ciao.